$1,435 a month. That's a real VA disability rating for a rectal condition most veterans are far too embarrassed to ever claim. And here's the part that costs people the most. Most who qualify never file because they can't say the words out loud. So stay with me, because there's one word buried in the hemorrhoid rules that decides whether you get paid nothing or double the rating. Almost nobody puts it in their claim.
I'm Kai, and let's be blunt about the money. This cluster runs from a hemorrhoid at 10% to a sphincter rating at 100. Same body part, wildly different check.
This is one whole corner of the conditions list we've been climbing, the rectal and anal cluster, and we treat it like every other rating, matter of fact. A code, a percentage, a paycheck.
This is Isabella, and think of it like a filing cabinet the VA built one drawer at a time. Hemorrhoids in one drawer, anal fissure, fistula, stricture, prolapse, each in its own. And the biggest paying drawer of all, impairment of sphincter control, sitting right at the top.
Careful though, big numbers up top don't mean an easy claim. Fenrir here, and I'll be the one asking whether each rating is actually reachable or just printed on paper.
Good, hold us to that. Because there are two doors in, and step one is knowing which one is yours. Door one, it started in service. Door two, it's secondary. A surgery or a service-connected condition caused it.
They really did build the whole filing cabinet. A 4-digit code for every single one.
A veteran carries one of these for years, assumes it's just a nuisance you live with, and never learns the VA already assigned it a rating. So the story goes, and that silence is the consequence, an earned benefit sitting there unclaimed.
None of this is opinion. It's one section of the rating schedule, the VA's official rule book, and we'll name the exact codes. That schedule is where every number today comes from.
One question first, before the panel runs off with this.
It's the one everyone types in. Is a hemorrhoid or rectal condition actually rateable, or does the VA just wave it off? Short answer, it's rateable, and some of it pays serious money. Everything we cover today, plus the full conditions list and free tools, lives at va.professorerica.com. And the drawer that pays the most is still coming, the one people are too shy to even open.
Start with the one everybody knows, hemorrhoids. Diagnostic code 7336.
And here's the trap most guides still fall into. They quote the old rule, the one that said mild or moderate hemorrhoids rate 0%. That language is gone.
Wrong book. The premise is wrong.
Right, the VA rewrote the whole digestive schedule in 2024. New thresholds now.
So give me the two rungs. What's 10? What's 20?
10% is prolapsed internal hemorrhoids with a couple thrombosis episodes a year, or external hemorrhoids that clot up 3 or more times a year. That's $180 a month.
Small but real. $2,000 a year for something you were told was nothing.
And 20%.
20 is persistent bleeding with anemia. That's $356 a month.
So anemia is the hinge. One word doubles the check.
And it has to be in the blood work. Bleeding you never charted can't earn the 20.
Sarah pulled the exact question people fight about here. Kai, read it off the feed for us.
This one's been sitting in the comments all week. If my hemorrhoids bleed but no doctor ever checked me for anemia, am I stuck at 10% forever?
You're not stuck. Ask for the blood test. Persistent bleeding is a reason to check your iron. And if the anemia is there, the record finally catches up to what your body's been doing. That's the consequence of charting it, the rating you already qualified for.
So step one for hemorrhoids, get the bleeding and the anemia into the record. Next, the rating in this cluster that pays the most, and it's not this one. Quick, honest ask while we are here. If this has been worth your time so far, hit like, then subscribe and ring the bell. I know everyone asks, but this one is free, and it is how a small channel like this actually grows. $1,435 a month. That number from the top of the show lives right here. Impairment of sphincter control, diagnostic code 7332.
And this is the anatomy that makes it real. 2 rings of muscle, an inner one and an outer one, hold the rectum closed until you decide otherwise. Surgery, an injury, or a botched repair can weaken them, and once that control is gone, it doesn't quietly come back.
The VA doesn't rate the cause here. It rates how often you leak and how often you need a pad.
I keep checklists on my fridge for everything, and I caught myself wanting one for this. So let me build the ladder, because that's exactly what this rating is. Which rung matches your week?
Rung by rung then. At the bottom, 10%, leakage about once a year. Then 30%, 2 or more times a month. 60%, 2 or more times a week. And the top, 100%, daily leakage needing a pad twice a day.
Almost 10% isn't once a year. The book says at least once every 6 months. Small gap, but the wrong number on a claim gets you bounced.
You're right, 6 months, not a year. Good catch. That's exactly the kind of detail a rater checks.
Notice the jump though. Look at the 2 pads a week line. That single rung, 30 to 60%, is where this stops feeling small and starts being real money.
Wait, a pad twice a week versus twice a month. That's the whole gap between 1,500 and 500?
That's it. The frequency is the rating. Which is why what you tell the examiner about a normal week decides the number.
But one thing people get wrong, this isn't just aging, it's most often a residual, the leftover damage from surgery or an injury.
Which matters, because a residual points straight at service. If the surgery that weakened the muscle was for a service-connected condition, that's the connection the rating stands on.
And that's the bridge to door 2, the one nobody talks about. Where these conditions actually come from, and the single box that ties them to your service.
A rating is worthless until it's tied to your service. 2 doors in. Which one is yours?
Door 1 is in service onset, and this cluster is unusually well documented. Field conditions, dehydration, heavy lifting, weeks without a real bathroom. Hemorrhoids show up in service records constantly, so the story is often already written in your file, you just have to go find it.
Pull your records first. Step 1 is proof you already own.
Door 2 is the one people miss. Secondary, a sphincter or rectal problem that came from surgery on something the VA already rates.
Give me the mechanism, not the vibe.
The mechanism is 38 CFR 3.310. A disability proximately due to a service-connected condition is itself service-connected. So if surgery for a service-connected bowel condition left you with sphincter damage, that damage comes along for the ride.
Now the word I promised you at the top of the show, anemia. Remember it, because this is where it earns its keep.
Say it plainly.
Bleeding hemorrhoids alone are 10%. Bleeding hemorrhoids with documented anemia or 20. Same condition, double the check, and the only difference is 1 lab result sitting in your file. That's the consequence of testing for it versus never asking.
So where does a veteran actually put all this? One form, 21-526EZ, and it goes in item 16.
And precision here is everything. Watch this line, right here in item 16. Name it exactly. Impairment of sphincter control, secondary to service-connected surgery, or hemorrhoids with anemia in service onset. Vague words here, and a strong case gets read as mild.
So before Friday, 1 rep. Pull your records and find the line where this first showed up. Next, the exam that turns all of this into a percentage, and we called in someone who runs that process cold.
Every dollar we've named runs through 1 appointment, the compensation and pension exam, and for this cluster, it's the part people quietly dread, which is understandable. Nobody wants to describe leakage to a stranger with a clipboard. But think of it like a tax appointment, not a confession. The examiner isn't judging you, They're matching your week to a number on a chart.
Describe your worst week, not your best day.
This is exactly the kind of thing you want from someone who does it every day. So let's get them on the line.
Happy to jump in. On a rectal or sphincter claim, the exam is short and clinical, and the whole thing turns on frequency. Here's the honest part most veterans get wrong. They walk in on a good day and describe a good day, so they get rated for their best week instead of their normal one. Bring a simple log, how many times it happened, how many pads, over a real month. That log is often worth more than the exam itself because it turns a vague answer into a countable one.
Let's put the frequency into dollars. Watch the gap. At 2 pads a week, that's 60%, $1,435.02 a month for a veteran alone.
Now drop to twice a month, 30%. That's $552.47.
So one rung on that ladder, 30 to 60, is $882.55 every month.
Run it across a year. Just over $10,500 on one rating decided by how clearly you describe a normal week.
And the nexus, the link, it doesn't have to be airtight, it has to be
Beyond a doubt.
no, the opposite, at least as likely as not. 50-50 is enough. I trailed off, but that's the point. The bar is lower than the word nexus makes it sound.
That's right, and your effective date, your back pay, runs from the day the VA received the claim under 38 CFR 3.400. So don't wait to feel ready. File, then keep gathering. The clock starts when you file. I'll get off the line there, but thanks for having me on. If you take one thing from this call, take the log. It does the arguing for you.
The part nobody hands you in a pamphlet? Appreciate you jumping on the line. So let's land the honest question together. Is claiming this cluster actually worth it, or does the embarrassment cost more than the check? Kai, Isabella, no script, just the real read.
Depends which rung. The worth it number is different for a hemorrhoid than for sphincter control. A 10% hemorrhoid, $180 a month, that's real but modest. Sphincter control at 60, $1,400 a month, that's not modest at all.
And here's where I'd push back on the embarrassment, gently. Think of it like a scar you can't see. You'd never skip filing a knee that gives out. This is the same claim, same evidence, same paycheck, just a part of the body we're trained not to mention. The consequence of staying quiet is measured in dollars you already earned.
But be fair to the other side. Kai, when is it not worth it?
When it's a one-time flare that healed clean. No bleeding now, no anemia, no leakage. Filing that just burns an afternoon and an exam for a 0. Save your effort for the rating that moves the number.
Fair, so the split is clean, chronic and documented. File it. A single healed flare with nothing left behind. Let it go.
And if it's secondary, if sphincter damage came from surgery on a condition you already hold, I'd file that every single time. The link is half built already.
Chris called it a filing cabinet up top, and honestly, the VA kept the receipts. 7 drawers, and the sphincter drawer is the one people are too shy to open.
That drawer is the one that pays, though. Remember the 2 pads a week line we drew? That single rung is where a rating people skip out of embarrassment turns into $1,400 a month. So here's what I'd actually do, and the VA backs it in writing. If it's chronic and in your record or secondary to a service-connected surgery, file it, name it precisely, and describe your worst week to the examiner. If it's a single healed flare with nothing left behind, let it go. That's the honest verdict. A rule you can act on tonight. Kai, Isabella, thank you. Let's bring it home. Here's the map in one line. This whole rectal and anal cluster is common, underclaimed, and written right into the rating schedule. Hemorrhoids, fissure, fistula, stricture, prolapse, and the big one, sphincter control. Next episode, we stay in this cluster and cover a rectal condition that can pay 100% even when a routine scan reads almost normal. That one genuinely surprised me. Your one rep tonight. Pull your records and hunt for 2 things. any note of rectal bleeding, and whether anyone ever tested your iron. Bleeding on the page, but no anemia test is the 10 to 20 jump sitting unclaimed. And if you want the rest of this climb, subscribe. We're taking the VA system one condition at a time, and a like puts it in front of the next veteran who's been too embarrassed to ask.
The number that stuck with me. One rung on the sphincter ladder, 30 to 60%, is just over $10,500 a year. Under-describing your week is expensive.
Mine's the reframe. It's a scar you can't see, but it's still a scar. And the VA still pays for it. Don't let embarrassment file a 0 for you.
One last thing for the comments, and be honest with us. Did you know these conditions were even rateable, or is this the first time anyone told you?
If one section applies to you, that section is the homework.
This is Chris. Thanks for watching and signing off.